Brooks Austin is the film guy at Brooks Austin BA is where you follow him on social media, the Film Guy Network on YouTube. Welcome in, Brooks. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well, boys. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. I don't have to ask. Brooks, who do you think is the best quarterback in the nation? Because you just released your ranking of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and he plays right here in our fine state. Why is Ty Simpson the best quarterback in the nation, according to Brooks Austin, the film guy?
Oh, the criticals. I've been hammering this one since he came to Athens and went 9 for his first 9 on third down. This game of football is one off Jimmy's and Joe's and the critical downs and moments of the football game. That's it. And there's a lot of Jimmy and Joe's in this conference, which means there's a lot of tight football games, which means there's a lot of opportunities to win or lose them on the criticals, right? Third downs, fourth downs, red zone possessions, goal line situations. Y'all are great in the criticals. I've been hammering this one literally since the Georgia game because I talked all offseason about parity. We all have. It's not my take. It's everybody's take. Look at the roster dispersions. Look at the talent dispersions. Look at how many good teams have good rosters, right? It's going to be one-score football, particularly in this conference, right? So which team, and particularly which quarterback, is great in those moments? That kid is. That kid is the best in those moments, in those types of football games. And by the way, that's what the next level is as well. The next level is all, hey, how can we find a way today to make sure we're winning on 3rd and 6? And then when we win enough of those 3rd and 6s, man, how do we punch it in the box when we get in first and goal situations? They're great at those. He's great at those. He had an uncharacteristic football game this last week with regards to some misses. But man, that's a guy that is an elite football playing quarterback right about now.
Well, I'm glad you brought up 3rd and 6 because Alabama fans find themselves in 3rd and 6 because they can't run the football. So while you're breaking down this film and you're telling us that Ty Simpson is maybe the best quarterback, most efficient quarterback in college football, what are you seeing from Daniel Hill and Jam Miller and, you know, all of the backs there and what that offensive line maybe they're not doing, creating gaps?
So first and foremost, when I look at them and I look at like modern offensive football, we're all chasing efficiencies, right? Analytics has created this real lean on trying to create efficient offense, right? Trying to live in 2nd and 3 so we can get chunk plays. And if we don't get the chunk play, we'll get into 3rd and 3 because we threw an incompletion. But what you'll see from Alabama's play calling unit is they get heavily tilted towards the passing department because the most efficient thing for them right now is to 5-yard hitch their way down the field because they can't 5-yard run their way down the field, right? So you'll see this heavy tilt and play call, and you'll see 45 dropbacks sometimes and 23 runs. Well, because the first 16 runs were inefficient run attempts. They weren't great at them. What I see from them individually, like talent-wise, right? You talked about the running back room. I'll get to them in a second. If I were your offensive coordinator, if I were Ryan Grubb and this staff, whoever your run game coordinator is needs to go into it's usually your offensive line coach, needs to go in and say, hey, coach, when I'm doing grade outs, 72 and 74 win 95% of their rundown reps. That's my opinion, by the way. When I watch them, I think Parker Brailsford and Caden Proctor are great, like really, really good high-end players in the run game individually. When they lose reps, it's because 71 got beaten a one-on-one. He's great when he gets to get paired up with 74. But is that because 74 is great in the run game or Cam Dewberry's great in the run game? You see what I'm saying? And I see the right guard, right tackle getting beat. Late in that fourth quarter against South Carolina, they're closing the game with 74 is going to win and move his man. And 72, the center, Brailsford is a great athlete. So we're going to get him out in space, right? So those were the two styles of runs that they really closed that game with against South Carolina, and it was efficient. They need to lean on that consistently. Now, you asked me about the backs, and I don't mean to be long-winded here, but I think they're using number 4 in such a unique way that tells me they think he's a super freak. That kid is 6'2.5", 245 pounds, but they use him like a gadget, juicy back. They use him in wide stretch zone runs. They use him in outside the box runs, C-gap and beyond runs. They use him in the passing department. They use him in the screen game. They think that guy's a freak. So he's going to grow. He's going to continue to grow. I always say how your coordinator uses you is what your team thinks you are as a skill set. And they are using that guy like he's 5'11", 185 pounds, and he ain't. He might be the biggest ball carrier in the conference right now.
For those that don't keep up with number 4 is Daniel Hill there, and that's who he's talking about. Had 3 runs and 4 catches in this past game against South Carolina. I see on my socials that Grubb and Sheridan are hanging out with John Gruden this week earlier, talking ball and talking schemes and things like you do, Brooks. When you look at the creativity of what Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer, and Sheridan are putting on tape, just talk to me. I would imagine this is like football porn to you when you watch offensive film. So when you're right there on when we call it Grubhub, when you're right there on Grubhub, how does that look offensively for you?
I'm trying to run down. I don't mean to laugh, but that is hysterical. I'm trying to run down Dan Orlovsky's tweets. Apparently, he's a whole hell of a lot more active on social media than I thought of. He had a great tweet the other day about NFL coordinators. Here it is. If you're not doing these things, friend of the show, Dan Orlovsky, if you're not doing these things schematically from an offensive perspective in the NFL right now, I believe you are scheme deficient. Consistently playing with the quarterback under the center, Alabama does that. Utilizes multiple tight ends, Alabama does that. Utilizes 6 offensive linemen, Alabama does that. Now, they play 6, but they don't play 6 at a time unless they got the crispy package in that. But y'all do that. Get into 4x1 formations. That's FIB is what we call that, formation into the boundary. Everybody in college football is doing that, but you do that. And use play action on early downs. That's what y'all do. Ryan Grubb spent a year getting his brains beat in the NFL, watching how everybody else wins, brought it back to this league is what I see. That's what I see from this unit. And, of course, he's studying with Gruden, but, I mean, Gruden's centrally located in Florida. I think they're probably doing some recruiting on the bye week. Don't get caught up in the dropping a package off to Gruden, even though I'm sure they are learning and talking some ball.
Brooks Austin, BA on social media, the Film Guy Network on YouTube. That's where you find Brooks' work. You guys love it so much. Continue to support him. Give him a thumbs up, subscribe, set your alerts so you know when he drops some videos there. He's with us on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline. If you're Mark Stoops and staff, and you're facing Ashton Daniels, who I think you'll face, but it hasn't been announced yet. Ashton Daniels in his first start at Auburn. Do you just try, this guy's head's already spinning, we're just going to throw him a bunch of stuff. Do you play it safe, see what he does, because you don't have a lot of Auburn film on him? How do you approach that if you're Mark Stoops and it's Ashton Daniels?
Well, I mean, we've cycled through like 16 quarterbacks over 13 years with Hugh Freeze. It's been the same identity since 2013. So I don't think you got to worry about getting reinvented of a wheel. They'll run Hugh Freeze offense. They'll run Auburn offense. Yeah, you have to study a different player, but even this guy's skill set identification processes in the recruiting worlds are the same. All of his quarterbacks are relatively similar. They all have similar skill sets. He wants them to be really quick releases. He wants them to be able to run the football. He wants them to be able to throw a slant really, really well and throw a deep ball well off the RPO game. They're all prepare for the offense. Don't worry about the player all that much. Now, on third down, we got to worry about the player, and maybe we go scout some Stanford stuff. But look, that's what a good coordinator would do with Ashton. If I were throwing this kid into the mix, as a coordinator, we'd sit in on Sunday and Monday and we say, hey, son, what makes you comfortable? But I don't think that's what Auburn does. I don't think that's what Hugh Freeze does. I think Auburn and Hugh Freeze say, hey, you're going to do what we do, son, and this is what we do. So prepare for what they do. I wouldn't be preparing for the player.
So, biggest game of the weekend, Brooks, in my opinion, Vanderbilt in Austin against Texas. I think Sark's probably going to wait and make it a game-time decision whether or not Arch can go. If he can't go, senior Matthew Caldwell from Jack State to Gardner-Webb to Troy to now Texas maybe gets the biggest start by far in his long, all-over-the-place career. I mean, I don't know if you've got anything on this guy. We saw one pass. It was a touchdown. But what are you seeing from Arch? We had somebody on earlier this week that said, hey, man, Texas finally, the offense showed up. Well, they were down 38-21 in the fourth quarter, so you assume it's got to show up at some point. But where is Arch right now, and how different do you think things will be with Matthew Caldwell if he does start?
So with the Caldwell thing, we've seen 2 passes. We saw the fade ball off an RPO against Mississippi State to win it. We also saw in a 2-minute against Florida when Arch helmet popped off. He came in and ripped a sail like he was breathing water or breathing air. It was just I do this, 30 yards, seed. So we've seen 2 of them. But I think it doesn't matter what kind of thrower you are in this Texas offense right now. It's how good of an athlete you are at the quarterback position. So I don't really care how good he throws the football. He's going to have to avoid and live in hellified pockets for 4 quarters, because that's what Arch had to do all season. That's what Arch has had to do. That's what Arch continues to do. And I'm not like, I don't do fandom. I don't do that. I just love good ball. And it's not a shtick. It's not a joke. It's the real thing. I study it too much. If I'm not real about it, I wouldn't be watching as much as I am. I am a fan of this kid because I'm a fan of tough, competitive football players that don't finger point. They don't blame. They don't do nothing. Guys, I made this comparison last night. My producers are too young. Do y'all remember that Derrick Rose commercial where the rose pops up out of the concrete crumbles that shouldn't, like a rose just blossoms out of nowhere, and it shouldn't happen? That's what happened in the 3rd and 4th quarter of that football game. Wasn't nothing going good. Nothing around him's getting better. Offensive line's still absolute poop. Nobody's getting open. We're just having to buy time, or worse, get absolutely obliterated in the midst of the pocket. But we're throwing dart after dart, seed after seed, ball after ball, just getting the offense to do something. Even the Ryan Wingo touchdown. That play is so dead. That play is so dead. It's 3rd and 10. We got average depth of concepts, 15, 20 yards downfield. We ain't been able to protect all year. And this is what coach is calling on 3rd and 10. No hots, no help, no nothing. He's buying time the entire time to his left and throws a dang 65-yard nuke. And, of course, at the end of the game, he's competing with his legs because we've asked him to damn near be willing to die from within the pocket for 8 straight games. And then he goes to compete with his legs, and I guarantee you they had the nerve to tell that kid, hey, we got to protect ourselves. We got to get down. Coach, what you mean? What you mean? That's the way I feel about that. And then the whole fan base, God forbid this Caldwell kid goes out and throws for 300 yards. There are going to be some dum-dums that go, we should start Caldwell. No, the kid just had his best game, and nothing around him got better, yet he found a way to drag them from amok.
Brooks certifying and guaranteeing his invitation to the Manning camp coming up in the summer of 2026 with that rant right there. Hey, my wife loves British television, even though she's of German descent. So we occasionally have high tea in the Dunaway household. Is that hot tea in your mug there with a little snippet of bourbon in there, or is that just water?
Snippet of bourbon.
First of all, coming up in February, sober 3 years.
How about that? Congratulations.
Good for you.
I'm straight caffeine and nicotine all day, every day.
What do you go pouches, nicotine pouches?
Yeah, we done sold this one too. I'm a Lucy Breakers guy. Shout out to him.
What milligram?
Is that an advertiser?
Is that a 6?
I'm a 4.
A 4?
Call me what you want.
No,
I'm a guy that likes to be up. I'm a guy that likes to be high on the vibes.
I mean,
that's where I'm at right about now.
Seriously.
It's just cup of coffee number 2 though, and it's almost noon. I don't think I'm too high on the caffeine intake.
Seriously, is that an advertiser? And can you hook somebody up here? We'll pop a pouch.
Lucy Breakers promo code FGN. 20% off.
Film Guy Network is FGN.
I like that.
As you watch, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
I did.
Okay, go ahead. No.
Hey, I don't like haunted houses. I get scared of jump scares and stuff. So when you're going against the interim coach off a bye week like Georgia is this week, what do you expect from Florida's offense?
Rapid pace and trick plays. That's what I would expect. We're going to do. We just did a study. We're going to release it here in a couple of minutes once graphics gets off their lazy behind and gets me a graphic for it. But when that gets released, you'll see that, like, dude, they got guys now. Like this Florida offense. Every time I watch them, I'm like, how in the hell are y'all bad? And then DJ Lagway throws it in the face mask of a safety, and I'm like, oh. There we go. So they move the ball. Like, for example, their last game against Mississippi State, I think they had 452 yards of total offense, but they just have these random spurts of bad. On 5 of their 11 possessions 2 weeks ago against Mississippi State, the drive ended or was turned over in 5 or fewer plays. That's not good football. But in the midst of the other football, man, they're as good as anybody. They'll chunk you up. Because they got great weapons. They will throw probably 12 50-50 balls to the X receiver, and they'll probably run with some rapid pace, and they'll probably throw in a few trick plays. But, I was talking about this on the film study. When a new football coach comes in there, or a new play caller, we can't reinvent the system in the middle of the season, even if we have a bye week. So what we will break and what we will change is the personal human tendencies, right? Like Billy had a really bad tendency on 3rd and short to run mesh. I don't know if they're going to run mesh, but maybe they run rail. You know what I mean? Maybe they have like one tendency as a play caller that you don't know about. That's the only little stick up. But they're not going to like be a pistol football team that's based off play action and chunk plays and then suddenly come out in the wishbone. Like, that's not how it's going to work. You know what I mean?
As you leave, and I fully understand you may not have done enough study to answer this because you were looking at a lot of teams, so feel free to tell me that. Oklahoma, not the offensive team they started the year as. Do you think it's more the injury or more that teams are starting to catch up a little bit on Arbuckle with more film, combo? What do you see there with Oklahoma?
Yeah, no, so I'm not a victim blamer. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. I don't do stuff like that. But that kid is very obviously not himself.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the way in which they call plays. Like, for example, this weekend, when Oklahoma gets into 2nd and 3 in plus territory, like ball at the plus 45, Ben Arbuckle's entire MO as a coordinator is to pull out the sword and go ahead and kill you right then and there on 2nd and 3 plus territory. That's not what he's doing right now. On 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 5, they're doing everything they can to get into 3rd and 2 so they can do everything they can to convert the sticks. They are not hunting explosives. This is a type of coordinator that would see, for example, that you have 2 safeties in the middle of the field, and he'll just whistle down to the quarterback, hey, we got Kanik on a double move right now on that front side safety. We're going to hunt an explosive. Everybody else, you can just see them on tape. The other 11 people or the other 10 people on the field will just stand still, and they'll hunt that one explosive. I haven't seen anything like that since this injury. And look, I pointed this out about Napier earlier, before the season about him. And I love the talent, and I love the ability, and he's a great football player. And he's a football player. He's not a quarterback. He's a guy that goes and gets it. But when we're 68% completion, 67% completion, because we don't do things mechanically clean, we're not a chicken and rice guy. We like all this flavor and all this flash and all this fun, when we should be a 72% completion guy in college. And then all of a sudden we get hurt. It's football. We're going to get hurt, especially when we are the run game, by the way. We get hurt. Now all of a sudden we become a 57% completion percentage guy instead of a 65% completion percentage guy. Now we're playing losing football. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what's happened with this kid, in my opinion. And you can see it in the way in which they call plays.
Follow Brooks on social media at Brooks Austin BA. The Film Guy Network on YouTube is where you find his work there on YouTube, and it is tremendous work. Subscribe and set your alerts for that.
Unbelievable.
Brooks,
Unbelievable.
thank you for the time as always. Have a great week. We'll see you again soon.
No doubt, boys. Anytime. I'm
Yep.
always ready for the next round, and you fine folks over here.
Thank you, brother. Take care. Brooks with us on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline. Brooks Austin, the film guy there, and we always appreciate his time.